in one of these classic Zen stories, this is just part of a Zen story, a monk asks Joshu, he says, I'm asking about before we met. I'm asking about before we met. Is there any relationship or not? First, before we go into the Joshu's response, what a question. Let such a question kind of, could you imagine asking somebody a question? And what would you imagine you might answer to such a question? Well, Joshu answered or responded. He said, as there is perception, there is relationship. It's a very curated response. It took centuries of looking at these things and deciding exactly how to word it, what to say. And there's various versions, and you can see how they kept changing the versions and developing them. So this is a curated question and answer. As there is perception, there is relationship. Okay, so now this is curated in a way to be something that you can't answer really conceptually. You have to kind of immerse yourself in it. Okay, geez, all right, okay. And you let it stick with you, stay with you. And you see what comes up. Many, well, in my lifetime, many years ago, I described koans. I wrote a little piece about koans. And I say a koan is sort of like a strange fish. You don't know what the koan is, but it turns out to be a strange fish. And it swims while you're sitting at a restaurant with somebody. And suddenly this strange fish swims through the air, and you realize the koan, or the phrase, is a kind of net or hook, and you catch the fish. Ooh, I didn't even know such a fish exists. And your friends don't know what's going on. We're not eating fish anyway, we're vegetarians. So you don't try to conceptually understand it. You let it be somewhere. When you can't fall asleep easily, it's a good chance to see the identity stream in full bloom, keeping you awake. I've got to do this. God, I haven't done that yet. Use the opportunity to try to bring attention out of the identity stream, which is very gluey. It's it doesn't want to let go of attention. As I said this morning, it's almost like identity needs attentional candy. Attention is a kind of candy for the identity stream. So you try to see, you try to move it somewhere which can receive attention. And as I said this morning, one of the best place probably is the hands. And you can even notice, does attention go more easily to the right hand or more easily to the left hand? Or does it activate both hands in a way that, I'm not talking nonsense. This is practice. It's a kind of hidden. It's not in the text and everything, but a lot of it is just assumed in a body yogic body culture. I mean, maybe you've noticed in Buddha's, there's a great deal of attention given to the hands in that Buddha. And of course, it's his mountain-like shape. The mountain is finished by the presence of the flame. Yeah. And there it is every day for us to notice. Is that shape a curated shape? Is that shape something that's been evolved in a way that could be in my body? So when you look at the statues, and this one, as I said, has very refined hands, often the hands are quite big. I mean, the body's there, and there's a hand which reaches from about here to the ground, testifying. It's way bigger than proportion. But the hands, this is meant to show us something. The hands are a reference. You can use them as a reference point, or you can use them to bring attention. What a great treat and gift to bring attention away from the identity stream. Let yourself get a few more winks. Is that what we say? Something like that. So you bring attention to your hands, and really, kind of, you're in a noticing sphere, but not a conscious sphere, as much as possible. I used the example the other day, and I didn't really suggest what I meant, but if you wake up and you massage your arm, for instance, there's agency there, but there's not much conception. You can't have exactly a conception of your arm. You feel your arm, yes. I mean, if you're a body worker or a doctor or something, you know something about the arm, but basically the hand is having a sensation that's in the hand and in the arm, and there's a noticing going on, but not a conception. So you can learn from that. You can get the feeling of noticing without conceptualizing. And you can do it in simple ways like this. Oh, yeah, there's a lot of noticing going on there, but not much conceptualization. I can have an intent. Yes, I'm going to do this. See what happens. So you use these various, if you're alert and attentional adept or attentionally aware and skilled, you begin to notice things and find the more you notice, the more you're in a mode of noticing and not in a mode of conceptualization. I mean, we want to see past the namings. We want to see through naming to how things appear without naming. Why we don't notice agency in general. We have a sense we have a moral individual responsibility. Adam and Eve, we made a couple of mistakes, we ate an apple, But the teaching is moral responsibility, individual moral responsibility. In Buddhism, it's more like we're in the midst of this potentiality. And the potentiality is mostly taking care of itself. But in yogic culture, the natural, so-called natural world is the ideal world because it functions through agency. It just does itself. So this concept of like original mind and stuff like that is, when are you going to realize that you're really just doing yourself? And you let that happen And these decisions you make and the intentions you have are a little bit on the surface, and they're kind of, but they're on the surface in a textual and tissue-like relationship to presence with others that arises in harmony, arises in coalescence with the immense activity of agency. Your blood, your breath, your stomach, the cells of your body are all functioning. You don't have to do much at all. They're just doing their... And the more you can let them do their own thing, and you just participate in feeling the body and the presence doing its own thing, that things, you're probably going to be pretty healthy. But it took me years to really say, geez, everyone's studying consciousness, the scientists, cognitive, they should be studying agency, because agency is the secret. And consciousness is the agency of agency. Consciousness is the agency of agency, but agency is the underlying thing that like my tongue knew what it's doing. If I plant a carrot, the carrot, thanks for planting me. And the carrot starts doing its thing, Carrot knows what to do. Okay, thank you very much.